On January 23rd, 2013, Russell Crowe tweeted, "Maps. I love them. Love reading them. Love planning adventures. Love seeing how things relate topographically. This is the Museum of Twitter, the show we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. Twitter giving us access to the unvarnished thoughts of celebrities has been a mixed bag. A lot of times we learn things we don't want to know, or celebrities drive themselves crazy. But this is not one of those cases. This is a case where we learn that Russell Crowe simply loves maps. And he doesn't just love maps, he loves them in a romantic, earnest way, which I think is very fun to juxtapose with the characters he tends to play on screen, who are generally brutish or boorish. But Russell Crowe, of course, isn't like that. He's an actor. He's sensitive, and he loves maps. This is not the only time he's tweeted about loving maps. He also has tweeted things like, "Canberra today. Mapping our world exhibition at the National Library. Loved it. Privileged to see those amazing maps in one place." And, "Pleasant surprise. Free and Sid Daily Telly. Kids poster map of the world. I love maps. With flags of the world on reverse. Very cool. Gold star." And just, "I love maps." And I think the reason why I find this important, and it is important, a lot of people have retweeted it over the years, I've heard it referenced on podcasts, but I think the reason why I love it so much is because I also love maps. I also love seeing how things relate topographically. I love looking at two countries and being like, it's interesting that this city is this close to this city, but it's that far from that city. Does this make me an absolute dork? Absolutely, but I'm in the company of Russell Crowe, and he has an Oscar, so you can't say anything to me. And I do really think it is the sincerity which made this tweet last. Because lots of celebrities have weird things that they love, weird things that they collect. But I don't think that me and Russell Crowe are alone in loving maps. I think that loving maps is a trait that a lot of dorks have. And he summed it up in less than 2 lines why we feel that way. If there's a map that's detailed enough, I really could just stare at it for like an hour and just be like, wow, that's interesting. And to see a man who is most famous for literally playing a titular gladiator saying it makes me feel better about feeling that way. Lots and lots of people, including Microplastic Sommelier, have noted that this seems like something that his character in Master and Commander would say. And lots of people, including Nick Parko, have joked that it's something that the lead singer of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs would say. But it's also been used in interesting ways, like Nate Fisher, a filmmaker, used it as a way to explain where his film Ephus was playing in theaters. And as a map lover, I find this very interesting. Like, I think it's interesting that it's playing at 2 theaters in northern Ohio, but just 1 theater in the entire state of Texas? What does that reveal to us about the state of Texas? Are there different laws about exhibitioning indie films? Is there just not a thriving indie film culture? Does Nate Fisher happen to know someone who runs a smaller indie theater in the Cleveland area, so therefore there are 2 screenings there? I don't know, but this map raises all those questions, and that's the great thing about maps. Maps raise a lot of questions that you can answer. I love maps. Dana Bell shares a thought that I also had, saying, "Would love to watch Russell Crowe play GeoGuessr." And that would be awesome, but I also feel like his acting career might end if you do that, because he would get addicted. Like, the moment you explain the differences in bollards between different countries in the European Union, I feel like his entire career would be lost. He would make Rainbow look like Drizzlebolt. And lots of people just appreciate being seen in this tweet. Like, Kate Nibbs says, "When he's right, he's right." Last week, when there was that prompt going around from Megan about things about yourself that you have not seen represented in media that you'd like to see represented in media, Steve quoted that with the screenshot from Russell Crowe, basically saying that people who love maps and love seeing how things relate topographically are not represented in media. And Priscilla Page said, "Open invitation for Russell Crowe to come over and talk about his love of maps." Adding another tweet with 3 photos of Russell Crowe looking at maps, saying, "I just want to meet a man who looks at me the way Russell Crowe looks at maps." Because look at that man's face. He is about that map life. And to that, all I can say is, hell yeah, brother. If I ever met Russell Crowe, I would have questions about him, about his career. Specifically, I'd want to know everything about his performance in Virtuosity, but I also would want to talk to him about maps. And a positive about Twitter, particularly in the early years, is that we got to learn the weird things that celebrities love. Sometimes those things reflected poorly in them, but sometimes they reflected on them really well. Like how Russell Crowe loves maps. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and please consider joining my Patreon, patreon.com/Museum of Twitter, where you get to vote on what I cover on Subscriber Sundays, and you get a weekly bonus episode called the Museum of Not Twitter.